JV, the annual review of the season, the 2022-2023 campaign. We'll talk about all the successes of the academy later on in the interview, but I'd just like to get your thoughts and your summary of the season so far.
Do you know what? This season, away from the cup final win against Rotherham, I think it's been probably one of my most enjoyable seasons as well. Mainly the group of players and the staff that I've been able to work with throughout this year, from coming in pre-season and working throughout, the group have been superb. A really competitive spirit across that group, and the support that I've had from the staff members behind the scenes has been excellent. So it has been a really enjoyable year, and include that in with what you've already mentioned about the success that we've had. It's just added to it.
As you alluded to, there's a whole team of background staff that cater to these players and get them to perform in the way that they have this season. It's not just yourself, although you are the lead PDP coach. It's also Fran, it's Jax helping you out on the sidelines, it's Caitlin and TJ in the physio rooms, it's Stephen and Martin in the offices, it's Luke and Matty doing the analysis and working throughout the entire age groups. It's a really tight-knit team, and to be able to share that success with them throughout this season must be great.
Yeah, even people like from a recruitment point of view, with Adam and Dean being around it, like, they're always there to support and help. We've lost people like Ryan this year, who went to Walsall and took the 18s job there. But again, on a daily basis when he was in, like Luke, like Jax, like Fran, who is now, they're always there to help. And that's actually helped the lads from an 18s perspective develop and grow as players as well.
And just to touch on, obviously, this season as a whole, I think we mentioned it in an interview previously when we were talking about the cup final that you was in. You set out targets at the start of the season, and some of the targets that you told me about kind of shocked me when I realised the levels that you could reach. I mean, comparing the targets to this season, how do you feel that the team have done?
I was disappointed, to be fair. I'm going to start with a disappointment. I was disappointed with our FA Youth Cup. I think we could have definitely done more there. It was one of those, I think it was a game that we could have done better in. It was one of those nights where we couldn't score at all, which ended up seeing us losing out to moving into the next round against Southend. But in terms of what we set out to do at the beginning of the year regarding the League Cup, which we ended up getting further and further than we ever thought we were going to get to this year, I think it's been a real strong part where we can even raise the bar again next year and look to try and progress ourselves on further. Not necessarily just down to progressing in cups, but what we can deliver to the players to increase and enhance what their programme looks like. So if that be games like we played against Bracknell and Flackwell Heath, those games I think are so important for those players' development leading into senior football and going into non-league football. Work experience and loan opportunities, I think, has been extremely, not just popular, but it's been extremely wealthy for the players in terms of their learning and their development as well.
You touched on it there with the loan spells and work experience spells for a handful of our academy lads. How do you think that's fared for them, or have they come back even more positive, even more hungry? Obviously, we've done our loan reports, but you would hear more than we do, more intrinsically than more intrinsic information than we get.
Yeah, I think it's worked really well this year. I think we've realised that getting some of the players out earlier has helped them from their development, and with them striving in the 18s, we want them to be not just striving and doing really well, we want them to be stretched and challenged, because that's part of what the accelerated pathway is within the club. And if we're not doing that, we're not exposing them to different challenges as players, and also giving the opportunities for the younger players to now step up and be challenged and stretched coming into the under 18. So I think it's been a real good learning for not just the players but for us as well, on actually different standards bring different obstacles and challenges for each one of them. Some of them have got to deal with adversity of not starting games, and something that they do all the time, week in, week out for the 18s. They're not doing when they go into senior football, which is actually linking to what it will be for them in the first team as well. So I think it's been great for players to start lower, work up higher, and be exposed to different levels. Some they missed out, mainly down to injuries, which is something that we'll look at, and how we identify those players and how we can help them potentially get those opportunities in different ways, which I think we ended up doing, and managing to get there in the end. But the clubs that have supported us with giving those boys the experiences, giving them different challenges, and allowing them to come into their clubs has been a massive help. And I think that's something that we're going to continue to build on and work on for the coming seasons as well.
Exactly. It's a big thank you to all the clubs that provide those opportunities for such young players as well, because it's not easy to bring in someone so young and so inexperienced to a completely different environment and get them playing to a level that that they're capable of reaching. Just to go back to sort of the EFL Youth Alliance League, it kind of boggled my mind really getting around it when I realised that the first half of the season is playing into a division in the second half of the season. Would you care to explain to the fans how it sort of works and how your thoughts are on finishing, I believe it was 6th place, after your last result against the league leaders Northampton Town, and going toe-to-toe with them and achieving a goalless draw away from home?
Yeah, so the way that it works is we start at the same time as the first team, so start of August we'll start the first part of the season. We'll play all the teams in our league, home and away, throughout that time, and that will finish pretty much like the first week in Feb. So over that period they're getting used to playing every Saturday. Then we'll start filtering in fixtures midweek if we need to, especially during that winter period where games start getting cancelled, etc. But once it gets to February, there'll be a little bit of probably about a weekend, maybe a week, where they won't have a game, and it will be then split into two. So not just our league, but a league that hosts teams like Portsmouth, Bournemouth, Forest Green, Newport County. They'll then be separated from their league, and our league will be separated to top to bottom, and then we go and play teams either in the Merit 1 League for the teams that played or finished in the top half of their original league, and the teams that finished in the bottom half of their original league will go and play in Merit League 2, which is what we ended up playing in for the back end of the season, which we ended up finishing, like you've already mentioned, against Northampton last Saturday. So I think it's been a really interesting season. We started off really strong. It was a really positive experience for all of them in terms of they were getting success. The success from the way that we were looking to play, even after a bit of a stop-start / challenging pre-season that they had, playing up against various teams that were a lot older than them as well, so like the Newport Pagnells, the Loughboroughs that we went and played, which was brilliant for them because it exposed them and challenged them physically, as well as giving them chances to work on their core skills, etc. But moving into the second part of the season, we've had to transition younger players in because we've got players that are out on loan and out on work experience, and dealing with injuries, which is exactly the same as what the first team have had to deal with this season as well. It gave lots of opportunity and a lot of opportunities for younger players and the older players to step up and take up a different role within the team as well. So overall, I was happy with how it turned out. Yeah, we didn't finish in terms of where we might have felt that we should have when we did a review of after the first half of the season and leading into the second. But to finish off strongly and finish off with some really good performances especially leading up to the cup final, it was really strong to see that the players were taking on the information that we were asking of them, and the players that were coming through from the 16s that are going to be scholars for next year have also are starting to think like scholars and players that are going to be full time with us next year.
As you touched on there, we can't talk about this season without discussing the EFL Youth Alliance Cup final where you beat Rotherham 2-0 here at Stadium MK. Not only was it a great venue to obviously lift the trophy at your home ground in front of the supporters, but also to make club history as well, where it's a competition that's never been won before. I mean, obviously we've touched on this after the game, but you must be immensely proud of your staff and the whole team to achieve that.
Yeah, it was like we said at the beginning, it wasn't something necessarily that we thought we were going to get to, but throughout that whole competition we just kept on going. and kept on getting wins and showing real good resilience and character throughout all the games where we were either being 2-0 down against Portsmouth and coming back in that game, scoring in the final minute against Exeter, beating a very strong, competitive team that I wouldn't say struggle against, but we have very difficult games against, with Cambridge in the regional final. To then go on and play Rotherham in that final at Stadium MK, and to perform the way that we did, even after scoring early, where it looked like we were gonna, we started getting into a bit of a rhythm, and that goal pretty much was us. That's what we've been working on. That's how we want to play. It was great to see them having to be resilient and show character in those moments where it wasn't going their way, and dealing with the pouring down rain as well throughout that game as well, it just added to the whole success from that game, as well as leading up to that game throughout the whole tournament that we played in as well.
Oh, right, that's to cap off. I mean, an incredible season for the under-18s. There's definitely no understatement about that. You've achieved so much, but for yourself personally, and for all the coaches and background staff at the academy, I mean, you've been helping out with the first team throughout what's been obviously a dismal season, but you've been on the sidelines for games like Leicester at home. I mean, for you personally, how has this season been for you and your obviously development as a lead PDP coach?
It's my first full season. A lot of these players that I've worked with since they were 12, so to see their journeys and see them grow as not just players but as people has been excellent. Having new players come in and work with them over the last 2 years, and having this full season to work with them and help them develop and help them grow has been really right for me. That's my job. That's what I enjoy doing, and that's what I want to continue to do. Having the opportunities to go up with the first team was excellent for me. It wasn't something that I've experienced often, but having that opportunity to be pitchside and working with the likes of Dave and Brad, who welcomed me in on that first night. I got called up the day before by Liam saying, we want you involved, and I came in first team, making me feel welcome, being able to be exposed to taking train sessions, working with the likes of Tom Bromley to make sure that the sessions were managed correctly during that time. And then even when Mark came in, again, how open and helpful he was around my own development, but also allowing me to ask questions, to be pitchside and do all of those things. It's been brilliant for myself to be exposed to that, and having the trust and the faith from Liam to be able to do that and step up from doing my role with the 18s has been excellent. But while I was doing that, I also had to get support from the academy staff, the likes of Ryan, Steve, Jax, to make sure that when I was up there, the 18s were still getting what they needed as well. So to be able to manage that and sort of park that a little bit while having to take up my role in and around the first team was a massive help from all of those guys within the academy. So yeah, from a personal point of view, it's been a challenging but fun, exciting and a season that I've been really happy with for myself, even with the fact that you've got people like Callum Tripp getting onto the pitch for the first team during the season, Phoenix Schultz getting a call up to the Northern Ireland side, players being on the bench for the first team and around that, players getting pro contracts like Ronnie Sanford in the summer. All of those little things just add, and they're the expectations that we've got on each other, myself, the other staff, the players. That's what we're looking to and strive for, and we want to just ensure that the academy is getting better and better, and supporting the first team as much as we possibly can, either from a playing perspective or a coaching perspective as well.